Yeah. All right, so we're live. I'm sending emails to people. We getting this thing popping. Some people should be going through. I'm sitting there trying to. Oh shit! I need to do. Damn. Do have people come to my channel? Shit, get some subscribers over this shit. What the fuck is going on, man? Yeah, I hate this Spectrum internet. All right. Oh, get my channel. Get my live. Just be 1 moment. Oh yeah, for anybody that ain't listening, yeah, we're live. This is Edward Anderson. This about to be action packed in a minute. I'm just sending this shit over here. So bear with me, bear with me, bear with me. Damn Spectrum internet is garbage. Fuck Spectrum. All right. So we're gonna redirect this conversation a little bit because motherfucker was on that. And we'll see what the build. All right, so we'll see what the build up is. Anyway, so here's the deal, man. Pretty much the argument was talking about all right, shout out to Black Huru who's up here. We got other people that's gonna be filtering in here shortly.
Howdy.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Here's my let's see, King Sigma, send him that shit. We'll probably do this for like an hour and a half, like till 5 or something. Here and then all right, so here's my point that I'm gonna make that I didn't get a chance to make. Also, what was going on, I ain't gonna talk about nobody why they not here, but a lot of that shit that led to that buttermilk bullshit, that shit, there's actually some stuff behind that that actually ain't getting spoken on. And because I don't believe in airing shit out like that, I left it that at that because names don't really mean shit. But here's the reality of the situation. Okay, so pretty much, welcome. I see some of y'all creeping in. It's 17. We'll see if some more creeps in. It is what it is. I done put the links. If y'all listening right here, make sure y'all go back to the other stream and tell them motherfuckers what the fuck to come over here. All right, yeah, Stoic is already doing that. So appreciate Stoic for doing that. All right, here's the deal. When it comes, no, let me be very clear about this. I date black women. I date ADOS black women. Those are majority women I actually date. So, the thing that I preach is basically you exercising your power by fucking who fucks with you. And as far as SYSBM is concerned, at the end of the day, this is the decade is going to be the era of people doing them, the era of people doing what's in their best interest. And my thing is why I get annoyed about these conversations is if you're going to do what's in, if people are going to do what's in their best interest, that's human nature. So the point is the group needs to start looking at how to make the group's best interest other people's best interest. There is a balance that has to be applied there. All of this, we need to understand history, which is all of that. Understand history, understand that shit. That's code for we need to accept what black women are doing and say for the betterment of the race or the survival of the race. This is just another generation that basically needs to continue on doing the same shit that everybody else is continuing on. I'm not necessarily. I believe in understanding how we got here as a mechanism to understand how we break the historical cycle because history goes in cycles. That's why people say it repeats himself. It just has different episodes. But I don't believe in lingering as, oh, well, you didn't build shit for me and blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, they didn't build shit for you. Then at the end of the day, you don't owe them shit. And we're not even in a situation where it's like, oh, get rid of all of the older dudes. I'm not even like that. I'm like, look, for people, it's really like this. People did what they did, and it is what it is. But if people are going to sit here and get in somebody's way as to what they're doing, like you're going to vote for black women, for instance, in office that'll create laws to basically think in their mind will fuck up all black men to supposedly restrict like what dudes are doing when these same black women, and I'm not talk about black women. I'm just saying in this particular situation, as soon as they get elected by the Democratic Party, all they doing is pushing LGBT emasculation bullshit, Dwayne Wade bullshit. I mean, come on. I mean, so the reality is this is about people choosing what's best for them. And if we're not going to have a conversation as to how to get in people's how to become the best option, then we ain't really saying shit. We really not. And I'll say this on the buttermilk comment, because people can apologize all day. And like I said, there's other stuff behind that. But here's the thing, you know, I don't have to prove anything to anybody. Both of my parents are black, not mixed, they are black. Number one. Number two, the most of the men in my family actually date dark-skinned black women. So I come from a long line of buttermilk niggas that choose dark-skinned black women. In fact, all my brothers date dark-skinned or date brown or dark-skinned black women. So also Malcolm X was a buttermilk nigga. So was Huey P. Newton. So was Farrakhan. So was fucking Don People. So was Frederick Douglass. There's nothing that needs to be proven. It really doesn't. And so that book, a lot of that shit comes from the fucking 80s. So I find it very cute because it just goes to show you all this bullshit that gets taught, all that shit is underneath. I don't give a fuck how much Taz or anybody else pisses me off. I'm not gonna say, oh, you fucking dark motherfucker, da 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 da. That shit doesn't even enter my fucking consciousness. And I always find it funny that, like, when you look at dudes, whether it's Umar or whether it's whoever, when these niggas get mad, as soon as they can go to that shit, that's where they want to go to. The fact, this is just like with black women and always want to go with somebody's sexuality. It really is a commentary about that person, because it really says what the fuck they really on at the end of the day. And I'm just gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave that where that starts and leave that where that ends. Anyway, I don't know who else is trying to get on. I know they finished it up over there. It was gonna take a second for this to rev up. But one of the things, you said put the Streamlab link. That's a StreamYard link. So that's a StreamYard link. I don't do Streamlabs. But one of the things that I will say that I wanted to ask you, Black Guru, is you made a comment that I never got to really address. And you made the comment about the race, disappearing. My question is this. Where were people when it came to all these? It's been 14.5 million abortions since 1963. My question is, why is it when we have this conversation about black men hopping, like basically eliminating the race by hopping out to death, there's never also counter conversation at the lost folks that we had because of us supporting liberal, not only Democrats, but liberal policies to the point where we got 14.5 million abortions. Black women have had more, I think more abortions by count than anybody else. And that never gets addressed in these same Hotep communities.
I can't speak for the Hotep communities. I'm not affiliated with them.
I think a lot of black culture in general.
Well, I think a lot of, I would wager that the vast majority of people do not know how large the collective total of abortions there have been of black children. I think that information is, and it's a product of the internet, a product of information being much more accessible now than would have been 10, 15, 20 years ago.
I would agree with that.
So
I would say academics do that information, but yeah.
Yeah, so I think, it's like a lot of other things that, when we have these discussions across generations and these debates, and you've been fair enough to say that you've attempted to try to avoid, sort of making the anti-old folks argument. I appreciate that. I think a lot of times the perspectives as lost is, we didn't come up in the same world that you all came up in. It was much more difficult to get the information that you all so easily get now. So a lot of things in terms of the strategizing, how what black men need to do, and SYSBM, a lot of those things are a product of you all having information, you all knowing that, for example, that over 40% of all black men don't have any children at all, and that most of the children are coming from 20% or whatever of the black men. I mean, we may have kind of known it anecdotally, in terms of things that we saw coming up, but we didn't know it in the raw number sense. And so the enormity of that informs your decision making in a way that we were not privy to 30 years ago. So some things you may rationally conclude as a result of having this great information. If you just kind of just operating on what you see and not necessarily what's going on everywhere else, you're not in the same position in terms of being able to make a really good sort of strategic decision making.
Yeah, and a lot of dudes are going on raw emotion too. See, when it comes, I operate beyond the acronyms, because really the acronyms are kind of like, think of it like denominations or like disciplines on certain things, so people can really. But at the end of the day, I operate above that. Not because like those things are bad things. This is why I technically understand all of them. But my thing is, this is what I expect black men of the elder, we're going to call it the elder generation, the last generations to do. This is what I expect. I don't expect them to basically co-sign with black women and keep on continuing. I'm not saying everybody's doing that, but I'm talking about like to the extent that it goes on to say black men are still the problem. What I expect is kind of like what Shahrazad Ali kind of did, is say do a diary of understanding of black men and say, quite frankly, black men are really not asking you for a lot. So for black men that's got daughters, for black men that's got one daughter or all daughters, I know black men that's got 5 daughters. I jokingly said, dude, you gotta bless you. They big in the church. Gotta bless you and the grandkids, I'm sure. But you're gonna have to charge it to that, because it's baked. Clearly you've been given a message. If you raise because you gotta remember, your daughter's only got to be better than most ADOS black women as far as attitude and how they address a lot of black men. And that's not hard. The bar is so fucking low. It's actually not difficult. This is why I don't worry about a lot of the 20% of black women, because look, if a black woman is not overweight and a black woman has a solid personality, for the most part, she'll be able to find a man for the most part. It may not be one of them top 20% genetic niggas or top 20% economic niggas, but it will be somebody that's in the top 40. And I've seen this. I've seen women that are 4s and 5s that are married to black men that are solid producers, whether they're in the blue collar, which is where most of the black wealth is. So I don't really worry about them, because they operate under the radar because they got to. Because then other women are going to come at them. This is not about an everybody situation. And see, sometimes I think dudes have this thing where they look at their daughters and they see what black men are doing and they try to associate that with their options. The reality is, if you raise your daughters right, and I don't got kids, so people take this with a grain of salt. But one of the things that you immediately see with I'll say this, you can always tell about how a woman feels towards a certain group of men by how they treat black men that they're not sexually attracted to. And the reality is, black men have to struggle to even be treated like human beings. So what I expect, I got you, Sigma, what I expect older black men to do is really to tell women, look, it ain't about yelling at women, cussing at women, or yelling at their daughters. You gotta realize black men have been through some things, and quite frankly, their side of the story, y'all, like black women have been able to say their side of the story, and a lot of black men have been frustrated and pent up. At the end of the day, if you take your best foot forward and you choose a dude that's honorable and you actually value what he brings, then chances are you're going to get more outcomes than you don't. Now, if you go for the dude that makes your pussy wet, and you just look at sex first, then remember, all women are pretty much doing that, and therefore those dudes are going to have a lot of options. They're going to exercise those options. And that's really all it is. Understanding the black man is not hard. And rather than sitting there trying to tell black men what not to do, you need to go out there and earn that man. And if you earn that man, you got somebody for the most part to be loyal for life. Now, these women will talk about dudes cheating and all that bullshit. The reality is, the dude is only as loyal as his options. And a big reason why a lot of dudes cheat is because these women are going after dudes that are above their stock anyway. But as far as that, that's why I expect older dudes to do. Not this, well, we're going to come over there with black men and we're going to see if we can just muddy up what we're doing, shame them, not necessarily give us information to help us go on where we're trying to go. We just trying to undercut the shit. And that's how a lot of that shit was perceived. And that's why I got animated the way I got animated, was because I'm like, this shit ain't going nowhere. Anyway.
Well, with the debate that you were having with the other older guy, he was talking a little too much and was slow to get to the point, which was, I think, kind of causing a stir amongst the rest of you all, which I think kind of
when RBR gets mad,
built up into the argument that ensued from there. I think I'm talking about the guy you call OG or whatever. I think if he had gotten more to the point that he was trying to make, I think things would not have built up to the steam point in which you all were then arguing with each other. And I think I don't think it would be impolite to tell him or me or any of us older men who may ramble, you need to kind of get to the point. I mean, you're kind of taking up time and you're kind of confusing us by saying a lot of different things and a lot of anecdotal stuff, which in some sense may be relevant or may be informative, but if you take too long to tell any story, at some point the real thesis gets lost.
Yeah, Sigma.
Yeah, thanks for having the stream, brother Edward. I mean, it's been a long day, but I think that unlike some brothers that see this whole SYSBN conversation as a negative, they see the generational conflict as negative. I see it all as positive. I think that this is just really, when you go through different conflicts because of a different vision long term, it ends up being, hey, whoever has the stronger vision, whoever has the strongest footing will win. So when it comes to SYSBN, the reason why I played the Shahrazad Ali clip is because I've kind of been going back trying to figure out for myself where things went wrong with the black majority. And it seems that it was sometimes in the 90s where this shit just really went off rails. So, listening to Sister Ali, there were women that were warning the other women of their day, like, raise your daughters such and such, such and such. If you don't, this will be the consequences. So, Sister Ali was warning them that if you didn't raise your daughters correctly, the outcome would be SYSBN and Passport Bros. And I wanted to introduce that commentary to a larger audience because at that time it was like almost 400 people watching, and folks.
Yeah, that's a good ploy. That's good.
Yeah, because folks need to understand this shit with SYSBN is not a cause, and we talk a lot about cause and effect. I'm always looking to how far can I go back to the source. SYSBN is just a response to a very horrible dating market that's developed in America over the last 30 to 40 years. So this whole conversation about SYSBN, I think it's good because all it's going to do is spread that message of black male freedom across the airwaves, and it's going to introduce more brothers to the tenets of free movement. So I'm okay with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm all good.
Yeah, I mean, and understand, I got daughters, and obviously I'm concerned about their future romantically and otherwise. But I totally support all black men, particularly you younger brothers, to pursue all available, beneficial romantic opportunities that might manifest before you. Like I say, I have cousins who have younger sons, and they have they're in interracial relationships, and they all appear to be mutually productive, and they appear to be happy and healthy, and appear to have, some of them even have healthy children that have come from it. So I haven't personally seen much negative come from interracial relationships. And there are also a couple of Nigerian, excuse me, a couple of younger kin who have a couple of Nigerian.
Like, because another thing too, a lot of the past, because I remember the passport, like one of the main arbiters of the passport bros was I guess he was a boomer, yeah, Charles Tyler.
Yeah, he was.
Right.
I think he was. Either he was like. I think he was. From what I heard, he was on the cusp. So he was one of those dudes that was a
early Gen X.
Yeah, and he and his and he has a beautiful black daughters in the Navy. So clearly, I was with a black woman. I believe they were Caribbean. So he did. I remember his group. That was actually before I got into the manosphere.
Mm-hmm.
It was Afro-American men versus African-American women. Would you date? And he went out of his way not to really throw black women under the bus. He was much more mild-mannered about it. But he said at the end of the day, and he was about getting dark-skinned women too. He was not like they were clearly black, not where they're mixing all of that. And also the point. And then you got Russell Taylor, in Dominican right now. He only deals really with Afro black women. So the point, and these dudes, and when you hear what these dudes gotta say, and they telling the truth. Charles Tyler was a cop, Russell Taylor was a cop. So these are not dudes like that are, all this. My point is this. Because really my point is this. It's not. SYSBM is not necessarily about interracial dating. No, it's not. It's really about culture versus race. It's basically removing the loyalty. At the end of the day, if black women want a black man, they gonna have to go to fucking get one. They not old one. Like they gonna have to go. They ain't necessarily gonna have to work as hard as to get a white man. But goddamn it, they gonna have to fucking put one step forward. Not this. I'm old a nigga, just like a white man thinks he's old a fucking slave or some shit like that. Like that's really all that's being asked. Now here's the thing: when people talk about eliminating the race, if black women want to eliminate the race because they really are going to be that stubborn, then goddamn it, the race just needs to go.
Well, I want to add something to what you said, Edward, because that's a good point about the fact that what these women are facing is that for the first time in 60 years, the men in their prime are saying, "If you want me, you got to come get me because I'm not coming to you." And I think that's like a very revolutionary moment for black men, is that they're telling the women that you got to be the hunters now. You've dogged us out, you've dismissed us. You've chosen the enemy above us. You've deified white.
Or you got to be worth hunting. I'll say that at least.
Oh yeah. If you go be hunted, you definitely got to present yourself that you're worth it. But a lot of black men are saying she ain't even worth it. So when I'm looking at the scenario, and I'm looking out, and this whole conversation about SYSBM and them focusing on the fact that there's a small portion of black men that have a fetish for non-black women, that's just a small portion. The truth is 97% of black women live outside the United States. And the truth is most black men like myself want a black or brown skinned woman. But for me, I don't give a fuck if she's an 8-eyes or not 8-eyes. I'm gonna be honest, bro. I just think that women with brown skin look better. That's just me personally. Like even the African woman that I'm talking to right now, she's so confused when I tell her, like, I think that you like your brown skin is just so beautiful to me, man. Like I tell her, like, your brown skin and like it's nothing better than waking up to a fucking slim, thick, brown skinned woman that don't want to be nowhere but next to you. See, that's just some shit that just is deep inside of me. But there's other brothers, they feel differently. They feel that a white woman, a biracial woman, an Asian woman, or whatever is better, and that's their right. But my whole point is that this whole conversation still, whether you decide to go black, brown, yellow, or mixed or whatever, it revolves around, do black men have the freedom to move and the freedom to choose? And I say yes, yes, yes. And anyone that has a problem with that, you should have raised a better daughter. You should have produced a better feminine product over the last 30 years. That's what this shit really boils down to, man.
And I got a question. I got a question directly, Black Guru. Do you really worry? Because you said that. I want to explore that. Do you really worry about your daughter's ability to get applications filed? Like, is that something like you really like? I know you ain't just waking up worrying about it, but what I'm saying is when you get in this space, to the extent that you say that, because I want to see how much of a concern that really is for black men of your age or maybe a little bit younger that's got like women, daughters that are coming of age.
Well, it's kind of complicated because, like I said, my older daughter is engaged, and I assume
Would you mind
she's
telling us
20.
how old is she?
She's 29.
Okay.
I assume they will eventually marry. They're supposedly scheduled to marry sometime in the spring, so we'll see. My younger daughter, I'm a little more concerned about because she went to an art school and developed some somewhat feministic type of leanings. The interesting thing about my younger daughter, though, is that she for whatever reason draws a lot of attention from non-black guys. So so she dates interracially. Is not a preference as much as for whatever reason she seems to get more attention from.
She's probably slim.
What's
I bet
that?
she's a slimmer daughter. She's probably the slimmer daughter.
Yeah. My older
Yep.
daughter was more, of the fine variety, so to speak. So, the brothers kind of were a little more interested in her. My younger daughter is a little more slimmer,
Makes sense.
more athletically built. So,
yeah, I've noticed that.
The white guys and the Indian guys and Asian guys just tend to gravitate more towards her. So
I like those ones. Those ones.
And it's not that she doesn't like black guys. It's just that's just kind of.
This is what
in fact, her friends referred to her as the white boy whisperer.
I had a black female like that where she was not the thick type of female, but in every other category, she was like an A plus, like just as far as like just.
I call them imans.
Well, the other thing about my younger daughter is she's a writer and she's very much a kind of she's into the comic. She's into the comic books and that kind of stuff. So she kind of draw the nerd, factor, the white nerd.
See, those are actually the black females that I've always found that were the most interesting to me because, see, I've never been one of these brothers that needs to be with like a 50-inch ass woman. Like I've always been more of a breast man and a face. I always like the face and breasts, and so I've always been able to attract women like that. And in fact, it's black women and some of my own friends that told me you like white boy like type women, and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? I come to find out that because I like slimmer females, that they consider that having a white male outlook on women. So like with a lot of these, women, they think that the way to look is like Buffy the Body or an Instagram model body. They think that shit is a standard. But for me, I've always liked the slimmer fit girls with the bubble. I don't know. I just like them women better and with big tits. That's what I like, man.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, like most women are not gonna be built like Buffy the Body, and they gonna more likely wind up obese as fuck, and that's the problem because a lot of that shit is. See, this is what a lot of women don't understand. Muscle, and I'm not gonna get into we already had the body type video, but if you're gonna be built like that, you gotta have a solid film of muscle under you to hold that shit up. So if they sit there and they think just eating and taking birth control pills or getting pregnant, to reform their body. This is if they don't go to surgery type bullshit. It's like the ticket. But as far as what you said, your daughter, as far as dating, non-black men or that happens, that I can instantly tell the difference between a black woman that is what I call they date interracially. So they just date everybody, and it just, and then what I call a swirler. There's two distinct things, just like how there's a difference between a black man that is a traditional minded conservative, like they're conservative because they're more traditional, more old school, versus somebody that's pro-white, which is like Anthony Brown, Logan Brian Tatum, your white apologists. Those are two completely different types of dudes, but they get lumped into the same category. So. And you can tell because you can tell by how those women act towards black men. And so I'm serious. People think I be fucking joking when I
don't like that shit, man, that you're talking about. Like what you're saying is so true. And I'm glad that you made that distinction because a lot of people be getting that shit confused with the there's a difference between being a person that like worships white people and a person that has some talking points that just happens to be that white people agree with. And I've never liked that shit. And I think it's because, you know, you're from Chicago originally, but being from Wisconsin and Minnesota.
Here goes where I say with my hyper shit, I call those hyper assimilationists.
Yeah. Because being from the Midwest, I've noticed that my outlook is different because I've never been in an environment where I'm surrounded by non-white people. So my view is from the standpoint of being a slim minority amongst a group of white people. And when I see guys like that have this white worship, the shit is crazy to me because being around white people, it's really a battle every day that you're at work, every day that you're at school, you're competing. It's always a battle as a black man. So I never could understand it, how someone could assimilate themselves mentally 100% into a culture where you're always the enemy. And that's why it always cracked me up when people would say, well, you think like a white boy because you like black women that are slim with big titties and pretty faces. Because I grew up around a lot of dudes that their whole thing was like, if a woman has like a big ass and big hips and she has a horse face, shit, they was all good with it. I'm like, man, I'm good.
Well, yeah, I'll put a paper bag over her, and that's another thing. When you saw that, so the video you did with Shahrazad Ali, when she was talking about how they were fighting against the seasoning of the pig and all of that, and how the women were fighting. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's that dominant. And see, at the end of the day, we don't have those mechanisms where sometimes you just got to get vetoed. When women, there's most shit where women just need to get vetoed.
What's the problem with the horse face thing, though, Edward? What's up with these dudes who will try to argue down that a woman's face don't matter?
Well, it's the same thing as like the fat chicks thing, but it's kind of a lower key thing. A lot of dudes, you want to know, I'm about to tell you, a lot of dudes actually think they make themselves more masculine, the fact that they are willing to fuck a chick like that. Like,
wow. I'm serious, bro.
I've literally been told because people would say I'm picky, and I'm actually like you. I showed you an Archer the women that I gravitate towards, and what did you say? You said they like average pretty, and which what I interpreted as like girl next door, which is fine.
And yeah, so, I think that your standards are very a middle of the road. You got very middle of the road standards.
I call it slave sexual standards. They're like Edward Anderson just said earlier, that there is a segment of men that believe that you're not a man if your dick doesn't get hard for any woman in front of you.
Called Negro buckism. That's a form of it. It's in an extreme case, just go post up a picture of a woman that was fat and she looked like she ate herself and then she lost the weight. Because I used to do that on my Facebook, showing respect. Because I got respect for women that lost that kind of weight, especially if they did it without surgery. Some of those pictures.
Okay, but there's also.
That's not my point. That's not my point. I'm gonna let you talk. The point is, you'll have always dudes that will literally say, "Man, I'll smash both," and I will argue with them just to see how far they'll go. Them niggas will fall on that sword for that shit. Anyway,
it was the dudes and the women that would say that she was good looking in the picture. It don't matter what she pictured.
Yeah, but go ahead, Black Room.
Well, I'll be honest. Before I got married or whatever. Look, there was a period where I was just trying to keep the batting average up, so to speak, where I'm just, slaying. I'm just trying to toss up everything. Well, not everything, but I'm trying to pretty much fuck as much as I can so I can get as good as I can.
Look, Black Hood will be like back in the day when the buttermilk back in the buttermilk.
Part of it was just I'm gonna learn to slay, so to speak. So
how we slayed the buttermilk.
I'm gonna spend a lot of time in the batting cage. That's all I'm saying.
Look, you going back in the day. You want to know somebody back in the day, and there's other women I know other than this, but Pam Grier. That's the chick I'm looking for. Outside of that, even with Pam Grier, you got to even watch out with that, because if you got a body like that, my first thing is I need to see your mama, because I need to see what you look like after you had kids, and I didn't see
because she's got Pam Grier.
Like I talked to Edward last week about that, man. Like, on social media, man, I saw like this picture. I didn't know how fine Pam Grier was in her prime, bro. Like this picture came across my timeline and I'm looking at her. She was probably like 22, 23. And it amazed me because these cats talking shit about me because I like big titty pretty women. And I'm looking at Pam Grier. She didn't have no big 50-inch ass.
Nope.
Pam Grier was kind of like slim. But
Yeah, but a lot of black men conform to what the women tell them
You
to
know,
like.
Pam Grier was engaged to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh, word?
And but he wanted her to give up her acting career, and he was becoming, well, at the time he was Lou Alcindor, but he was converting over to Islam and becoming Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he wanted her to give up her act. He wanted her to go to real like hardcore submissive Muslim wife
Black
role,
Uru, can I
and
ask
she
you a
didn't
question?
want to do it.
And I gotta say, I like Pam Grier, and I'm not gonna put no thottishness on Pam Grier, but I'm just saying, Kareem, I get you liked her, but she would show her titties like on blaxploitation.
I seen some pictures of Pam.
Well, I don't know if she had. I think he got with her before that. I think he did.
Well, he was a
I think he got with her when she was very young.
Okay, all right. Well, I get it.
Yo, Black Uru, I gotta ask you a question, man. I'm sorry to interrupt the conversation. This is a question relating back to your daughter. No disrespect, but have you ever asked your daughter, has she ever been shamed by other black women because of her slim figure?
Oh yeah, she definitely has. They definitely would tell her she needs to eat more and all that type of stuff. Yeah. But I'm glad you asked that question, because the interesting thing is, I recently saw a photograph of her and all her high school friends, and most of them are getting very fat. Now, if you had looked at them, like 4 years ago, they were all, thick and, fine.
Black women don't make it past 25 before they hit the ball.
But they're all a couple of years out of college now, and this is already they've already started.
See, I've seen that multiple times with many black women where they will come together
and she now is, if you look at that photo of them together, she now is really the prettiest one of them all.
Can I ask you a question?
But to be honest, I might not have said that 4 years ago.
But listen, do you tell her she's the most beautiful? Because she has a lot of pressure coming from black women telling her she needs to change her image. You need to reinforce the fact that she's beautiful the way she is.
Well, I'm not gonna tell a dude that's older than me like that, but
I'm just saying.
I know, I get what you're saying, but I want to piggyback off something, Archer, that you said. Number one, because Danielle mentioned this shit too. She want to talk about what black men were telling me I need to have more meat on my bones and all that. And
no, it's really the women.
Yeah, because before bullshit, black men will fuck you either way. Let's stop acting like that ain't true, especially like she in Mississippi. So when she say that, she know that's a cop out. But a lot of that shame that I talked about, that shit is redirected in other ways, in negative ways, to promote negative things that end up fucking women up in the end. Another thing is somebody in my family, let's just say my mom's cousin used to do when they tried to do that, is he would tell women in fact, he's like, you need to shut the fuck up, because y'all talking about she don't need to gain, like, look, she don't need to gain no weight. As soon as she get married and have a baby, gotta take care of all that shit. So what are you
I hate that shit.
So, but my point is, why are you telling her to eat when you know good and well, she, like, that's why women have all this extra body fat after they have a kid, and it's hard to lose that baby weight. So a lot of times, and I'm not even saying she should get big, but I'm saying women, there's some shit, a man shouldn't even have to say that shit. That shit that women should already know. Why are you trying to, and see, a lot of that shit is that negative reinforcement that they trying to low key undercut her on the low, because they're jealous of that. And that's a lot of things that women don't ever check each other about. Just like how, and this is another thing we're going to talk about too, is, and I'll let you talk, Archer. why is it that women don't really talk about the home wrecking nature of other women in the black community? Why is it that that's like one of the things that women get on cold for, and they don't check home wrecking as black females?
Because they like the same men. That's why.
Yeah, they have to be home wreckers, and they also, and then when it comes, I'm gonna talk about that right quick, then I'm gonna go back to the original point. When it comes to that, black women understand they all like a certain type of man. They understand they're gonna have to undercut that man, and it's a constant state of competition.
Well,
that's why they're so
culture,
obsessed with if their man is cheating or not. Like I get with a black woman, and the first thing she's going through my phone, like, we've been together for a week, and you already think I'm cheating, like, because she knows that other women want me.
That's
so
bullshit.
So she has to, it's a constant state of competition because she knows there's a certain type black women like.
That is bullshit, bro.
Like, only women think. Now, only black women think that way, though. Only ADOS women. Other women don't think that way. They understand.
I think all women.
African
like
women,
that.
I gotta give them a
No,
reason to think I'm cheating before that.
Sigma, I can tell you, I've got a significant number of multiple ethnicities under my belt, and it's not like that with all the rest of them.
This is all I'm trying to say. Here's what I'm trying to say. In my experience, all women.
This nigga said, "Who is Pam Grier?" Ben.
Some brothers might not believe it, but I'm telling you, women like fucking a dude that other women like fucking.
Yes, that's true. That is true.
Sigma, I don't mean to cut you off. This is why when motherfuckers talk about, oh, he a hoe, I'm like, bitch, shut up. He can't be a hoe, because guess what? If a woman has lack of sexual experience, that means most likely she has a lack of a body count. So stop acting like you're not more attracted to a dude that's a hoe. Shut up.
Yeah, she is, because that dude can lay the pipe. Like,
so
I know.
What I'm saying is that what you're saying is true, because in my experience, and again, I know for a lot of brothers, because they're logical minded and men tend to be analytical, it doesn't make sense to the average man. They'll say, why would a woman want to fuck a dude that's fucking all her friends and her sister? It doesn't make sense logically.
Ron Will talked about that.
Once you penetrate a woman's emotional core, you know, she can rationalize doing almost anything in a moment.
Hold on, but
she'll after it's over, she'll blame it on you.
Ron,
you deceived her, or you tricked her, or you seduced her, or she was vulnerable, or whatever. And because all other women know that about themselves and about each other, that's why you can't have a situation where they are all fucking the same guy.
That's what Shahrazad Ali was talking about with the secrets thing, but at the same time, that may have been true in the 80s and 90s, and I'm not saying it's not true now, but even Ron Will said that in the workplace, I've seen this, and I've kind of been on the other side of it a little bit. The females will pass a nigga around.
Yes, sir.
They do that. They will do that in the fucking workplace.
What did you make of that?
High school.
They will pass them around and compare notes.
What did you make? What does the panel make of that? What Edward just said, because that's something I was just talking about with a woman, and she was explaining to me. She was like telling me how all the people at work sleep with each other. What do you guys make of the fact that
it's not true?
A man working in an environment and the women have no problem fucking the same dude in the workplace? Like, what do y'all make of that?
Well, that's how you know that when we talk about, when people always talk about you can't know everybody and you can't know every situation, this is how you know that 20% of niggas are having the majority of these bastard kids out here is fucking true. We see it everywhere. Like, it's not just something that we're just talking about. It's a myth. You see that shit. And it's not everybody fucking each other. It's really like, 6 or 7 niggas that are fucking all these bitches.
Real shit. That's real.
But
that's why I would get call center jobs. That's the reason I would get call center jobs.
Right.
Dude, I got 2 years in call center.
You're talking about the workplace. Yeah. And what happens in the workplace is it becomes a separate little world onto itself. And these are you're people who are spending a lot of time with each other, and you're getting very friendly, and you're eating together, and you're smiling, and you're flirting about what kind of cologne or perfume or someone's hairstyle.
High school,
it's very easy
It happens. I mean, it's not just work. It happens in high school, college. It happens in every area of activity.
Sure.
Yeah,
where you're spending a lot of time with people. You know, you're spending more of your waking hours with coworkers very often than you are with your own actual loved ones.
Well, that's true. That's one of the reasons why
in the club too, where you don't even know folks, fucking them the first time you see them because your girl did. So it's not. I get what you're saying, but it happens everywhere. Show me where it happens in the fucking church.
That's one of the reasons why I kind of have an issue with brothers when they be on here, because I'm like, man, I don't get you dudes, man. Like, these women are fucking like crazy out here. Like, all you gotta do
that lottery. That's
you see, you don't get what you don't understand is not the fact that black men can't get pussy, and that's a black women argument that we can't get pussy. The problem that many black men are having, like Obsidian, is the quality of pussy. He talks about the homely sisters. It's the quality of black pussy and the fact there's not enough quality, attractive pussy to go around. It's like musical chairs.
Come on, Archer, you're in Minnesota.
And we've all been in workplaces where there have been women that we have not been attracted to, but have always been especially friendly towards us. They're always high. They may even give you little trinkets or whatever. I mean, we've all been in that place, and we don't necessarily look at those women. We look at the women we want to do, but we may not necessarily be able to do. But there's always the fatter chick or the homie chick,
rubbing their titties on you,
whatever. And she would do you like that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you how bad, like, because a lot of mofos think because I'm short, they think like they can try me with that. It's a chick that I know. I saw a picture of her and I liked her at first, but she gained like 25 pounds. But see, the problem is only 5'1".
Lizzo trying to get at Edward, homie. Lizzo, she trying to get at Edward, man.
Yeah,
no, he's talking about you.
She gained like 25 pounds, and that 25 pounds, man, I said I can't do it, and she got so bad. I said, all you gotta do is go back to how you was, and we be good. And that's the body language I kind of gave her. And she got so angry.
I was on,
she had me go to HR, man. She tried to set me up, man.
When I was on dating apps and fat girls that hit me up in the chat, I'd be like, I hit you back when you lose 50 pounds.
Damn, you cold blooded, bro.
I'll be an incel before.
Archer, he being in Minnesota. Archer being in Minnesota can pretty much confirm when I'm telling brothers in his face. Like, I keep telling these dudes that up here, the most competitive black women are not ADOS women, man.
They're African.
I've been telling these dudes this shit forever, and I know
African women are beautiful.
I keep telling these dudes that these African broads, Somalis,
Eritreans, I had a South African girl before who was Zulu.
I met a broad from Djibouti. I met a broad from fucking a country called Djibouti that's somewhere between Somalia and Ethiopia. But my point is that these broads from Africa, this is what's so crazy about it. See, they're raised in a patriarchal culture, but they don't even know how fucking beautiful they are. Like, when you talk to them, they be shocked that you think they're so beautiful. And I'm sitting like,
I gotta give Africans credit. They good. African men are probably Israeli men are good at it too, at telling they females, bitch, you ain't shit. Like, they good at doing that at a collective level.
Most Israeli girls aren't worth shit. I'm just saying.
You gotta recognize what African men are good at and what we're not.
No, you think black women are bad? Israeli women can be bad too. I've seen it, man.
African men are good at setting a fucking example. Something black American men.
I'm talking about attitude wise.
If an African woman acts out of line,
they like Gal Gadot. Because they're not.
I done seen so many fucking fine like East African women that I'm at the point where it's like. But this is what shocks me, because I had a broad that she was
here coming that futurism bullshit
out in DC. She was out in DC, and I would fly to see her out there, and I got to meet like a lot of Ethiopian women out there in DC.
They are.
And what shocked me the most was that these women were so shocked at how I thought they were so fucking fine. Like, they didn't think that they were that fine. Like, they felt like they were basic or not that attractive, but they couldn't believe me as an American black man that how I thought how beautiful they were. That's why when brothers get talking about this whole like going
You
elsewhere.
gotta keep them
average-
down, Sigma. You gotta
The
keep them
average
down,
Somali,
man.
the average East African woman is about an 8. The average
Yes,
ADOS
sir.
woman is a 4.
Exactly.
I
There you
dated
go.
2 Somali women, and they both told me the same thing. I said, "Why do you date Black American men?" They said they only date Black American men. Now
Thank
they
you.
open their options. They said because Black American men treat me better.
I'm glad you just
And,
said that.
and Black women don't understand how
They sound like the
fucking
same
easy
shit the
they
white
have it.
women are saying.
I'm glad that Archer just said what he said. He just brought out the most major point that I've been trying to get at. See, he just said that the average ADOS woman out here is like a 4, but those girls are like 7 and 8s. That's my experience. Like, that's why I don't be getting this whole conversation, because the Black
Even
women I talk to-
feminists say this.
You
Even
said what?
feminists say this.
And it's another.
Why do you think they argue so hard against SYSBM? They know that if the brothers ever got out there in mass, they're gone.
It's over. It's over.
Because they know what other women think and feel about Black men.
Yeah.
They know. See, there's a difference between men and women. Women know just by the look in the eyes of other women what's going on with them.
Yeah, they do.
They know that when those white women, those Somali women, those Eritrean women, those Hispanic women are looking at you, they know what they see.
But
you don't know it, because you're not female.
So Black Guru, this is what I'm gonna say in regards to that, because this actually speaks to something that really gets on my nerves. At what point are we gonna have because here's the thing, Black men are tasked with trying to come back to quote unquote save the community or just not lead the community. But at the end of the day, you're dealing with a woman that is operating in what I call Trojan horse mode, what I call CIA mode, basically undercut the Black man mode, because that's the only way they know how to deal with the Black man. This is where Shahjad Ali was talking about Black women and their secrets, and some of the stuff she was talking about keeping Black men in mind. You can't build. So when you talk about, we need to protect the race, I get you were alluding to that in the other video. You cannot build with somebody like that. It's already over unless they're willing to actually come off of that a little bit. There's really nothing else that really can be done. Another thing I'll say too is, and I gotta say this to somebody, my family's from the Midwest. I gotta say, I'm not a fan of Thomas Sowell, but Midwestern women personify redneck culture. They really do.
Damn.
I'm like, no, I'm taking that knife, I'm drilling it all the way the fuck in there right now. Like, the reality of the situation is, it ain't really women in the South as much. Like, people are making fun of the, the South Carolinian women.
Elaborate on the redneck culture.
Well, Chicago,
what is it? Chicago.
I mean, I think I know what you mean, but elaborate.
You don't ever want to, the average Chicago chick or Gary, Indiana chick is the worst thing that could happen to a Black man up here, man.
Well, it's also the women in the places not in the necessary cities like Peoria and all that. I mean, when I say redneck culture, is exactly what I mean. When you say redneck culture, I'm talking about a lot of this. Like, think of what you think of Black people, and I'm not trying to judge all Black people, like Memphis, Tennessee, bastard. But let me actually explain what I mean. What I mean is, when you talk about the difference between women in the South and women in the Midwest and like women in the Northeast, in this sense, is like, you got to remember the Midwest is post-industrialization. It's basically falling off of industrialization. Yeah. So what that means is you're dealing with women that's already gone through that, like, approaching fourth wave. So psychologically, they're already disconnected from men and all of that. So and you know how women are, when they ain't got nothing to really guide them, they basically like a planet that spins out of a goddamn solar system. Like, I was looking at that, shout out to Solar TV 84, and he got a woman on there by the name of Billy. She's like, I guess 38, 39, and I'll give her, she's married, she has kids in wedlock, but the thing about it is she's doing shit that you would never know she's married. It's like she tries to, that you can hear it even in the voice inflection, the redneck in it, the Black redneck shit. Like, she's literally showing like a picture of her lingerie on this just to show niggas that she don't know, that she got a body, and she's using terms like baby date niggas and that, basically taking all the Black female, fuckery talking points. And I'm like, you're married, yet I cannot disassociate you from like a black redneck chick. And that's really a terminology we need to start using, because that's really what the fuck it is.
That's the only terminology I've ever used. But you
Yeah.
know, with these whole black women, man.
And then the whole hold on, I'm gonna say this, like damn near that's why y'all talk about African women like y'all doing, because it's not so much about, yes, these African women, yeah, they're attractive, but the thing about it is you're juxtaposing them against what the fuck you know where you are. And you got to remember, Milwaukee, Wisconsin is literally probably the worst city that black people in as far as I'm not saying the people, I'm just talking about the collective environment.
Well, it is considered the worst city for black Americans in America, bro.
Yeah,
but
you got to understand the areas we're talking about. Like
all I want to say is this. All I want to say. This all I want to say. African women, in my experience, I'm telling you, what really throws me off is the fact that they don't know how fine they are. That's what throws me off. It's like I learned through African women how abused American black men are, and it took me some time to figure out why that is. See what it is? American black women go out of their way as mothers, as sisters, as cousins, as friends to like lower the self-esteem of black men to a point where they start thinking that we're not handsome men, that we're not the best men. But the truth is, a lot of fucking women in this world think we are hella masculine. They think that we're beautiful. They think that we're gentle compared to other men, but we're masculine. See, it's like,
and that's that ever shit fucking LAR was talking about. This, so when motherfuckers come at they don't know, and it's racism, and they know
this is the advantage that black men have over most other men. We can appear to be very strong and very masculine without having to brutalize women or to try to impose ourselves upon them.
But that's also,
and I think that's what a lot of, but I'm just saying that's what also makes us attractive to a lot of women.
Well,
we don't have to,
it also what holds us back as a community.
And to be somewhat indelicate, that's a particular feature in our sexual prowess.
Well, of course, but that also holds us back
because a black man can be dominant. A black man can be dominant sexually without a lot of the other crazy shit.
Well, another thing that needs to be understood too is that what makes us socially adaptable to deal with other women. Because here's the thing: you're dealing with women that have the shit is basically set in stone with how it is because they come from a true patriarchy. Versus a woman, this is what like Dave Chappelle was joking about in his shit. Where he talk about how his Filipino wife thinks she's got an attitude and shit. Where he's like, you like get a 5, and I'm used to like an 8. So I'm already winning, and you think you just getting over winning. In fact, I'm already winning.
That's what Dave Chappelle said?
Well, he said a joke alluding to that. This was like a couple of specials ago, where he was telling the story how he comes home and how he wasn't appreciated, how his kids used to be happy he came home. Now that they're older, they're used to him, coming home. So, they ain't even waiting for him. But he was saying it in like a certain type of way. My point is this: at the end of the day, you just heard Sigma and Archer talk about African women. They ain't got nothing to fucking do with motherfuckers in love with white women. That's a cop out people say in order to.
That's a trope.
Everything is about not addressing the situation, and this is why. Look, I ain't trying to disrespect OG. This is why I said what I said about what you said, Black Root, because at least you were getting to the points that we needed to speak to. Damn, like the real fears that people really have. So, and this is why I'll give Gab credit to a certain extent, because the stuff that needs to be addressed so we can actually address it. All of this, we're going to dance around it. And this is what I keep saying this is what the Democrats do when it comes to reparations. They dance around the bullshit because they don't want to address the real issue. And that's like more disrespectful than like talking to like Richard Spencer, because at least Richard Spencer, like when Jason Black asked Richard Spencer, does white privilege exist? He said yes, it exists, and I'm of the opinion we need more of it.
I can't stand.
Yo, let me say something right quick. I'm gonna jump in right quick. This is what pisses me off.
We're gonna do it for like 30 minutes.
This is what pissed me off about SYSBM. They allow women to make the narrative of SYSBM of black men and white women. I called myself SYSBM when I was dating a Somali woman. You can't allow them to make the narrative about that into white women and white women only, because then you do yourself a disjustice.
Hold on.
An injustice.
But here's the thing: is I understand what you're saying there, Archer, to a degree. But the other thing is, MGTOW and SYSBM, they're not organizations. They're not unifications. They're basically philosophies of thought that don't care about what the main culture says about them.
That's true. I gotta agree with Judge on that one because my whole thing,
me too.
I've spent a lot of time with SYSBM. I know the creator of their website. I spend a lot of time with these guys, and I'm telling you, it don't have nothing to do with American black women. But I get what you're saying, Archer, as far as like the narrative outside of the inner circle of SYSBM bro is that white women. But again, it doesn't matter if you're SYSBM or whatever. If you're not dating an ADOS woman, the ADOS woman will attack you unless you're an ADOS woman dating a white man.
See, when I'm dating an African woman, they say the green card.
MGTOW and SYSBM, even if you catch them with a white woman, she's probably Eastern European.
Yeah,
and the whole thing
it's about mostly staying away from westernized American and westernized women.
All
black men
popping like that, man. White women, look it, man, bro, look it. I went to the University of Minnesota. It's not a secret. Me and my crew banged so many white girls. I can't even remember these hoes' faces or anything like that. But my point is that this whole hype about white women is something that black women have a problem. ADOS women have an obsession with fucking white women, bro.
Yes.
Like
because they want their position.
Yeah. I was in a strip club one time.
But let me say this, and this is kind of a blanket comment throughout. I would like to say throughout all the black manosphere, please disabuse yourselves, brothers, of the notion that women will ever play fair or righteous with you. No. It does not matter what reality is. It does not matter whether SYSBM does not mean white women or whatever. They are not going to be fair and honest and valid in their arguments against you. They're going to say or do whatever they think in the moment is effective to try to undermine you. So if you understand that they're not going to tell the truth, they're going to lie, they're going to obfuscate, they're going to misdirect, they're going to detour, they're going to omit. As long as you accept that's what they're going to do, then you can deal with it.
Who you think they get that from?
They get that in large part from their own nature.
No, they get that from white men.
No. Look, Edward, I have raised daughters into adulthood. A lot of that is natural. Now, a lot of it is enabled by white people. I agree.
What up, Charles?
But a lot of the nature of women is to be deceptive,
so why
misdirected, and to obfuscate. What's that?
So why do other women not do that to their own men? Even
because there's punishment, because they suffer some sort of punishment when they get caught doing it. It's not that they wouldn't do. It's not that they wouldn't do the same thing. Is what the penalty will be once they're caught.
Because other men lay down the fucking hammer. Some black men don't.
Because white men have burned white women at the stake.
Yeah, that's what them witching stories. That's what the witching stories are. And see,
I'm in Minnesota, and I see even African immigrants who come over here, and you can tell, like, yeah, she did something fucked up in her country because you can see the burn marks on her face.
Yeah, they don't fuck around like them Somali dudes that I know. They have a whole different culture, and if you get around like these immigrant women and you talk to them, they will tell you like they can't stand the men of their culture compared to American men, and it's through them that I found out that we're very much emasculated men. Because we're very soft compared to the men of other countries
around the world.
The argument is still, and this is why I keep coming back to it, yet the argument is still being made. Because here's the thing, what people don't understand about stuff when it comes to, I'm not going to act like I'm as being an expert, but I'm talking about from somebody who's kind of outside looking in and shit like that. What you're essentially doing is it's trying to say, okay, it doesn't matter what the woman does. Manhood is predicated on you having the strength. This is how it's sold. The strength to endure. That's some slavish shit, like to keep it all the way real.
Right.
At the end of the day, your ability, as far as your manhood, is really measured, in my opinion, by your ability to build the capacity for what you can do. What you can't do, what you will do, what you won't do is really what measures you as a man. So what can you do and what will you do? Because there's a lot of black men that can do, like all black men can beat the shit out of black women for the most part, but we don't do it. So the question is, what are we doing when it comes to even staying in this situation?
Ain't no one staying though. See, that's what I think, that the whole thing with OG and Uhuru is that we've reached a breaking point in Black America. Like,
Yes.
and I respect the brother Uru because he shows up in these spaces. He gives his opinion. I respect the brother OG and BJS. But what you're seeing is that the younger men, it's like, even though you respect the older men, you're just like, look it, man. All that shit y'all talking might have been true in the 70s and the 80s, but we're moving in a different direction. And that's very critical for Black America, because I don't think any generation of black men has ever, on one hand, respected their elders, but at the same time saying, I'm going this way regardless of what you say. And I know it because with my own mother, she tried that shit on me at 17 when I was dating a Persian woman, and I told her and my sister to go fuck themselves. And I never had no problems out of my mother, never had no problems out of anyone else in my family. And there's a lot of men that grew up like that, where they started dating women of different cultures at a very young age. I'm not talking about,
Okay, but Sigma, I'm a generation older than you. And my mother said to me that when I got engaged and eventually married, she said to me that she was surprised that I married a black woman and that she assumed that I would marry a white woman.
Yeah, it's because you didn't act a certain way she wanted you to act. But when it comes to about
her point was that she thought that a white woman would be better suited for me. So even a generation earlier, because knowing me, knowing my temperament, my disposition, my history, and having some Scheherazade Ali type, she was kind of she had some very similar sort of views about the status of black women at the time, or with the direction in which things were trending. She did not have very positive views about the prospects of young black women at the time, and we're talking about the 80s.
Wow.
So, I mean, you can imagine. You can imagine where she was now. So my point is saying that there were and are some black women, older black women, who got it. Who knew how much of the fuck shit there was.
Go ahead, Archer. I know
nobody's arguing that. That's never been the argument.
I'm gonna say one more thing. I'm gonna mute up. I'm gonna mute up and be out after this. But there's something about the black community I want to point out. When you have enforcers, and I hate to bring his name up, like the GOAT, who push this narrative that we're the only group of men who push this narrative that checking women is not masculine. Actually, checking the men is the more masculine thing to do, and checking the women is like the bitch move.
Yeah, okay.
We're the only group of men who push that type of narrative or have that type of thinking. And that is really, at the end of the day, the reason why we refuse to punish our women for anything. Because we get the OGs, we get the old boy types that come over and say, you guys are some bitch niggas for even addressing women's issues. That is not masculine. Address the men. That's not how the rest of the world views this type of behavior. The rest of the world will check their women in a heartbeat and put their head on a stake in the front of the fucking castle and say, look at that bitch. Don't act like her.
Or they will just leave them, because I'm not an advocate.
Or let them starve.
To do stuff to go to jail. But I believe and given what we have access to, I believe in excommunication from the church. That's what I believe. We got to start, and this is where the SYSBM stuff comes into play. You have to check them with your ability to move on.
Well, a lot of these dudes that's doing all this caping, man, they bitches run them. Let's just be honest. Their females run them. They're dependent on females. So, when I first heard all this caping, I was like, where is all this shit coming from? Then I was like, oh, okay, I get it. These are dudes that are so dependent on the females that they're dealing with being in the position that they've been in for the last generation, that I can understand from a self-interest standpoint that these dudes are terrified by the idea of that power dynamic shifting from these super black magic girl feminists to back to black men. But unfortunately for these dudes that think like that, man, that time is come and gone. And I know it because I talk to enough brothers in this space, and I can hear it in their voice. Like even the brothers that are more leaning towards like the Ibmore kind of brothers, the brothers that are really into that like pro black brackety shit, even they're starting to be like, I can't even cape for this shit no more. Even them dudes are starting to be like, I can't do it no more because they're getting disrespected by the same women that they're trying to protect every day. So I don't care what none of the older brothers say. I don't care what none of these pro black dudes say. The shit is about to change over the next decade, and y'all better be prepared because it's changing, bro.
These are the type of men that get put on the couch.
Yeah. They don't even get put on the couch no more, bro. They get kicked out the crib. These hoes be telling these dudes, get out.
What I'm saying is that there's a difference between withdrawing and taking yourself to the couch and being told that you're not sleeping in this bed, you're sleeping on the couch. There's a big difference in the dynamic. The end result may be the same, but there's a huge difference in the dynamic.
Man, these women out here, they done got so drunk on power that they talk to these dudes like they're fucking children. Where American black women, they talk to these dudes like they're fucking children, man. Real shit.
See, I can explain to you the problem of this because I have a PhD in all kinds of fuckery, both black male and black female. Number one, you're a damn fool if you're going to actually sit down and take something from anybody. Two, a lot of black males are not put in positions of leadership, and it starts from the home. You're born into a subservient rule. So we go back to say, number one, how many black men are taught to pay bills? How many black men are taught to have their own? You don't even get a car because you want to travel. You want to get a car to impress a bitch. You want to get things just to look pretty to get a girl. So you realize one thing about the law of nature: you can never buy respect. How does a man deal with an unsubmissive, uncooperative, uncivilized woman? He doesn't. There are too many men out there who will go out and let a chick cuss them out and say nothing. Even though there have been people who said, "Oh, you're part of this." No. First of all, I'm probably one of the most thorough masculine men you'll get to meet on this planet. I walk it, I talk it, I live it.
Well, you know what was a very powerful moment for me, and I know a lot of guys ain't gonna like this, but you might not remember, but a couple months back, they were interviewing Donald Trump, and he said something to the extent of, if I was a young man, I wouldn't even want to live in America now because young men have it hard in America because of the feminism. To me, that was a moment of very critical importance because what it showed is that when your president says that these women are out of line, and what you're saying, Charles, is that what it is, these men have become so castrated that they don't even know how to check a female no more, bro. They're afraid to check a female.
I get pleasure, like, you know, Superman gets his power from the sun. He-Man gets his power from the sword of power. I get mine from checking a bitch from time to time.
Get mine from smacking a bitch from time to time.
I don't even gotta be violent. Because smacking a bitch, what that's not power.
Yeah, Archer just saying that shit. He wanted to rhyme.
That's not power. What happened?
I think Archer just wanted to rhyme and say that shit after he said
Yeah, that's not power. You know why? Because if I gotta put your hands on you, I don't have dominion. Power is the ability to change a reality.
Yep.
You have the ability to tell a bitch, you know what? I'm gone.
There you go.
And not come back because she got pussy. See, the greatest lie that was told was that there's fewer women than men. I don't got to deal with your ass. Sit your lonely ass down. I'm a man. I get better with age, like a fine cognac.
That's where the power is. See, right there, what you're saying, this is why here we are on Christmas Day having a conversation about this SYSPN, because the truth is, what has happened is that was always the solution. Like Charles said, hitting a female, they don't have it. The Pookie and Ray Ray type dudes beat bitches all day long, and they still in a subservient position. The most powerful black man is the ones that the women wish they could be with, but those men are looking right past them. That shit drives women fucking insane.
No, the most powerful.
I'm gonna tell you this, man. And I'm gonna school a lot of cats on here. See, the way you save yourself, black man, is to get a black woman who is cooperative. Because the fucking problem I got with save yourself black men is the fact that the most cowardly thing you do is not to take on the challenge. See, the way you take on the challenge is finding somebody on your program. See, men have to understand we take the hero's journey.
Yes, we're going to try.
I disagree
That's
with
gonna leave a lot of men.
Let me tell you why. Because you're gonna search. You're gonna search for the woman who's gonna be on your program.
See, I don't forget the fact that this is medical shit. Hold on one second, Archer. I'll give you your mic. Hold on one second, Archer. Here's why I disagree with Charles. And again, I think Charles is Generation X. So here's my thing. I don't think that's what's happening with most brothers, at least under 40. Most brothers under 40 aren't doing no searching. They aren't doing, the hero's journey comes from them living their life. And what's happening is that, see, are you a Gen Xer, Charles? I don't know. Are you?
A late Xer.
Okay, so you're a late Xer. Here's what you guys seem to not understand. What's happening to a lot of brothers, which be your sons and your younger brothers, we've gone to school and we've been cultured and socialized with women of different cultures. So it's not like these men are going off and finding these women. These women they make it so fucking easy. I was at the dentist a month ago and I met an East Indian woman. I didn't do anything. All I did was talk to her. She made it easy for me. And that's what's happening with a lot of young men, is that the women are making it so that they let it be known, like, you're a quality man and I want to be around you. So only natural that men have to be in a situation. It's not natural for a man to have to go through all these obstacles with a woman when he already has to go through all those obstacles, especially if you're in the Midwest. We have to dealing with white motherfuckers at work. We have to deal with these people all around us.
Yeah.
So
But let me say something about the journey.
I'm gonna come with this one. You want to see Charles? See, hold up. I gotta say this because I was looking at the chat. You want to see Charles Faulkner roast abroad, nigga? When haven't
Charles
I?
A cook. Charles a cook.
Huh?
Charles a cook. I mean, Officer Faulkner would cook. I seen it. So.
I'm not about to cook.
I've cooked Cynthia G to her face and told her. So I have no problem cooking abroad, flamboyant, just the same way I would do a dude. See, me personally, I'm not looking for. See, one thing about a man's life, if you're not already living your fucking life, you're a dumbass in the first place. See, I could live my life and get whatever woman I want. If she shows some stupidity, guess what? How many niggas could do what I did? My own damn wrestler seen what I did, right? Hold up. Let me tell you. One chick wanted to argue who came over. I didn't argue with her. You know what I did? I opened up the door.
Yeah, Charles, I agree. I agree you be on your
20 minutes later, another broad came.
But Charles,
you're missing the point about finding a black woman.
But Charles is in Archer. Charles is in Baltimore. Have you lived your whole life in Baltimore, Charles?
I've been to travel. I'm mostly here, but I traveled. I'm a traveler.
So for the most part, someone like a Charles has grown up in Baltimore. I believe y'all city is at least 50% black, right?
75.
Okay, now Archer, here's what you have to remember, and I had to learn this myself in this space. Someone like a Charles is a Gen Xer. He's grown up in a city that's 75% black. You and I have lived in states where we're only like 5% of the population. So we see the world from 180 degrees different.
Well, shit, Philadelphia is insane too, and that's one of.
I've been around many different cultures.
Yeah.
I've been around. Just to let you know, I'm an Army guy. I've been around many different cultures.
This is the problem I have. No, This is the problem I have with that
Arthur,
argument.
Arthur, just let me say this one thing, and I'll give you the mic, bro. Just let me say this one thing to Charles. Here's my thing. This is why I disagree with Charles, because out here, a man, a civilized man, is gonna try to find the most efficient way to do a complicated thing. And people try to say, well, women are complicated. They can be fucking complicated. So the woman that makes it the easiest to deal with her and to meet your goals of sexual gratification, financial gratification, or emotional gratification, those are the women that are going to get chose by a civilized man out here. I'll get a mic back to you, Archer, but I just want to say, like, in Baltimore, so you're
I hear what Charles is saying now.
7 out of 10 of the women.
I'm gonna tell you what, all women got shit with them.
Yeah, but
I have never met one woman who don't have shit with them.
Let me say this right quick. Let me say this right quick, because this needs to be said when it comes to you got to find a black woman who's on your program, or you got to find a black woman who's in shape. We talk about this in all different aspects. You're the problem. When it comes to Black America, it's about numbers. And this is why I keep going back to the game of musical chairs. If every man is looking for the same type of woman, and that type of woman is not very common in the Black community, that's going to leave a lot of men not being able to find her if we're all stuck with Black American
you got to be
women.
the best. Like, I'm going to tell you this.
Well, also, what is the profile of that 20% woman? I mean, we talk about her as a number or as a percentage, but we never get in the weeds.
Let's ask the real question.
We never get in the weeds of who and what that 20% woman
let's ask
is,
the real question.
much less how we actually find her.
Let's ask the real question that I never hear a lot of people say, both men and women. What do you want in that mate?
Cooperation and peace. That's what I like.
And if you get that, does anything else matter?
Yeah, she still got to take care of herself and be loyal. Yeah.
And what are you offering to that?
Preferably
what
not.
I'm offering is that, like, at my age, I've succeeded at everything I've tried. I'm gonna always give her that leadership. I'm gonna always be that dude that she's enjoys having a good time with. That's what I'm gonna offer. So I'm gonna always offer her leadership. I'm gonna offer her a good time. And it's almost like she's dating more than one person, because I'm in a constant learning mode. So she might be talking to me today and having one conversation. A week later, it's some new shit. So any woman that's dealing with me, she's gonna feel like she's having sex with multiple dudes, because I'm always in a learning mentality. But she has to bring that cooperation, that femininity. She has to look good, and she has to admire me, and she has to have a certain amount of loyalty. That's what she has to bring to the table. That's her part of the bargain.
So because I'll be looking at dudes and I'll be like, make sure you can give the same you ask.
Well, you're, like I said, man, you in Baltimore, so I don't judge regions, because I'm just sitting out here in the Midwest. We have a different scenario.
I never just dated Baltimorean women.
I get what you're saying, but you live in a city that's 75% Black,
I've dated nothing but Black women, and I didn't just date women who are from Baltimore or live in Baltimore.
I ain't limiting myself to only Black women out here, because the Black women out here they don't even want to. For the most part, the American Black women out here don't even want to compete. I'm just being 100% honest with you, Archer. We live in the same.
So Charles, do you think the problem is, or one of the problems is that men are reaching for something that they themselves are not willing to provide or invest?
In some cases, yes. In some cases, yeah. Because let me put it to you this way, right?
How significant is that phenomenon within the overall?
Right? I'm gonna put it to you this way: is it true that a lot of Black women don't compete? Yes.
Not out here.
But how many? You can't ask for something like you can't. Like, a lot of dudes out here who got a shitty job, and he wants the chick to have a 6-figure income. I'm like, wait a minute. You're not even in those circles with those type of chicks.
Wait a minute. You say there are men who have a shitty job, but they want women who have 6-figure incomes?
Yes, I've seen it.
Those
Now,
are not
here,
true.
man. Ain't nobody-
that's an unusual.
It's
Not
scenario.
really. That's
it's
not
unusual
unusual for the
because
East Coast, though.
it's
Because if you've been
usual because you have a lot of people getting up in the world, especially the women.
if you've been
And
out
I'm
there
like
to the
looking
East
at it,
Coast,
and I'm looking at it like a lot of times it's the same shit the women do. Like I want a man with a fucking 6-pack abs, chest that you can land an airplane on, dick like a fire hose, but she's 5'2" when she's built like a bowling ball. That doesn't equate.
well, I will say the East Coast. I'm not surprised if you're saying it because I've been out to DC, I've been out to New York, and one of the things I noticed that's different about the East Coast women versus out here is that out here, a woman you could be dating her for like 2 or 3 months, and she won't even ask you what you do for a living. But when I was up there in Harlem and DC, the first thing a female will ask you, "What do you do for a living?" And I was noticing like that shit was like it really stood out to me that the women out there, the first thing they ask you is like, "What do you do?" Whereas the women out here, you don't give a fuck about what
See,
you
I
do.
think
the
it's the
further
opposite.
The
I
further
think-
east you go, the more competitive it is.
Yeah, I think it's the opposite though. I mean, we say that most black men are trying to date, are asking for more. I think most black men are just sick of dating down. I don't think we're dating up. We're looking for more than we deserve. We're being asked to date down on a routine basis.
No, most men historically date down, marry down too.
I like.
So-
I don't know, man. I like East Coast girls. My
I mean, that's but you can. Black men are the only man you can see. Well, you can see a black man who has all shit together with a 4, with an O.
I like East Coast chicks.
You ain't gonna see too many.
I
you ain't gonna
don't
see too
think
many-
I don't
you ain't
think
gonna see
the
too many
issue.
men with
I don't
fours.
think the
With
issue
fours who are
is
not
that.
doing.
I don't think the issue is that of dating down. I think the issue is the spread.
Man, it's some
That's-
fire, bro.
that-
It's
I
some
mean,
fire.
it's one thing if you're a 7 and she's a 6. That's very different than if you're a 7 and
She's a
she's
3.
a 4.
Yeah,
You know,
that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. We're being dog.
Yeah,
We're
You
being
ain't gonna
told to
see.
date
You
far
ain't gonna
down.
see guys. See, this is the part. You ain't gonna see high successful guys dating 3s too much, if ever, because they're in a different pool. Because they have access.
What do you mean by high successful guys?
Like guys who are like mid 6 figures and up. They're in a
Okay.
much more successful
Okay,
pool.
so now
No,
you're
even low
talking
6
about
figures.
what? So now you're talking about what? 5% or less?
You
of
talking
black
about
men?
You gotta
You're talking about a
understand something.
very small pool.
You gotta
of black
understand
men.
something. The more success, the higher you're gonna go. Get higher, the higher you're
no,
gonna
And
go.
that's
but-
also why the more
but Charles-
successful black men date
Charles,
out.
But
Yeah.
Charles, you're talking about a very small pool.
I
of
could
black
even
men.
I could even go for the average black man, right? The average black man is gonna date the average black woman, right?
no, not out here.
Which is below his station.
And I'm gonna tell you why. A lot of this attitude that a lot of this shit goes is because a lot of black men co-sign it. If
Out
you
here,
didn't
the
like it,
average
if
black man-
majority of black men didn't like it, they wouldn't date it.
I'll bet money.
No,
I'll bet money that out here in the Midwest, we're actually approaching. If you're talking about men that are,
Do they
underpaid,
like it or do they settle for it?
I will-
They
I will-
settle.
I will bet you
Yeah, I'm
that out
settled.
here, when you do a poll, let's
Well,
say
I'm-
2025, at the rate we're going out here in the Midwest, I would bet you that if you poll men,
Okay, you're in the Midwest where?
This
You're-
is it goes back to what Edward said.
Well, I'm in
You're in the
Minnesota right
Midwest- you're in the Midwest where?
You,
I'm in
you know,
Minnesota.
Sigma, I'm getting up there, right? And I've spent time in Minneapolis,
yeah,
and it's brother city up there. I mean, the women of all variety that are turned on by black men in particular.
see, I didn't even know that you
appear to
lived in Minneapolis before, man.
Oh yeah, I've spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time in Minneapolis. I was nearly born there.
Oh,
And
wow.
and yeah. I mean, if you're a black man and you have things and reasonably situated in that area, you're doing very well.
It's not even a
in that
question,
market.
man. It's not even. It's not.
I mean, you're almost shooting crabs in the barrel.
That's what and see. That's what I'm trying to impart to Charles is that that's why I want to make it regional because I've been out to the East Coast. First off, I love East Coast women because what I found different about them is that the women here are a little bit more. They try to play a little game with you and then they lay down, of course. But out in the East Coast, what I liked about the women there is that it's like, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a lawyer. Oh, I'm fucking like the
They're very direct.
like you just tell them, like, so it's like when you say something like you might tell them like, well, I'm a music producer, or okay, I'm coming home to fuck you tonight. Like,
yeah, you know where you stand. You know where you stand with East Coast women.
yeah, like they just let you know right away, like if they're gonna fuck you or not. But out here, the women are more low key, and then they they don't ask you what you do for a living, but they're more chill. You got to put a little bit more. But East Coast women, they will come up to you. Hey, where are you from? Oh, I'm from the Twin Cities. What do you do out there in the Twin Cities? Oh, I'm a lawyer. Oh, I'm fucking you tonight. It's like, damn, you know. So East Coast women are cool with me, but I'm just saying, like, as far as Charles, you know, with being out here in the Midwest, there's so many options to choose from, man. That like, if you take a brother like yourself, that's a police officer, you've been in the game for years, you might come out here and you might be like, man, I'm strictly with a black woman. And then
Charles would reap havoc in Minneapolis.
One of these motherfucking Ethiopian women walk past you, and then next thing you know, Charles
he would reap havoc out there.
He would be out here eating injera up in this motherfucker every day, man. So
he would be like
I'm gonna tell you the secret, man.
Charles would be the Sultan of Faulkner out there.
I'm just like this. To me, Ethiopians, anything of African country or origin or descent is just black to me. I'm not attracted to white women or Asian women, so they're just.
I ain't really attracted to white women either, though, like that. But I love.
But here's the problem, Charles. They make it so easy. I mean, God, they make it. They make it so.
Nah, that don't turn my correct. They just don't. Like, oh God, no. Like, boom.
Hey, all I'm saying is that all that black woman shit don't have no out here. That shit doesn't mean anything, bro. That's all I'm saying, man. It don't mean anything because the ADOS women out here, they're just not banging like that, bro. And look at, like I said, I've been to DC. And the black women y'all got out there, they are better options. You know, New York, up in Harlem, man, I've seen some of the finest black women, ADOS women I ever seen in my life. So I can get why dudes out there would talk like that. But out here, it's a whole different dating market. The black.
Where are you exactly?
I'm in the Twin Cities right now. But I'm from Milwaukee.
What's the population of black people out there?
5% of
the in Minnesota by way of Milwaukee.
It's so low that
what's that?
It's the population is like low when it comes to black people.
I know.
It's like I'm just like my heart of hearts is this, right? A man always got to be on his shit. Okay. You got to be the best. You got to be the best type of man you could be, because a lot of these dudes out here, you know what? Even just going to the gym,
okay,
and improving your body, getting your money up, improving yourself, period. You got dudes out there who are fucking delusional, who believe that every goddamn woman should just bow down to them. I'm like, why so?
Because you got options. That's
because why. I'm like, and I'm like looking at this dude like, you just put yourself out the option ring, just being a slob, you know? Just like a lot of dudes I've been noticing been acting like the females are getting a little delusional. Like, yeah, improve yourself a little bit, man.
All I'm saying is that, Charles, I hear what you're saying, but I have people that now you from Baltimore. I got family from Mississippi. Ain't never been around a white bitch. They have come out here and lost their goddamn mind coming out here, bro. That's all I'm gonna tell you. I'm telling you.
Yeah, but also down south, they color struck, right?
I don't know if it's even color struck. What I'm telling you is that I got cousins that have come from the southern states and they came up here and they couldn't believe the interplay. What I'm saying is that what's different about the Midwest is that the women of different cultures interact with you in a normal way that a lot of brothers from like really, really black cities have never experienced. And so you might get a brother like you that's like, man, I only fuck with ADOS women. And then you come up here for a year and the next thing you know, I know dudes like you that got biracial kids now, man. And they was really blackity black, but they never saw such beautiful women give them attention.
You gotta remember Charles out of the military, so you know. But I get what you're saying.
But I'm just like I said, Charles may be the exception. But all I'm saying is that
it's like this.
That 8
My
out
whole
of 10 don't
thing,
mean nothing to me.
see, my whole thing is that I don't find those women attractive. That's one. I wouldn't even deal with them. They could come up like I get hit on by women all the time who are white. Like
You're the exception.
I don't find them attractive. They're just
Bro,
even if they could be the nicest thing.
you are the exception, but I'm just telling you that I done met women of every ethnicity. I done spent a lot of time on the East Coast, and I'm telling you, bro, the thing that I notice about Midwest women is that they have a housewife mentality more so than East Coast women. They make it easy for you, and the cost of living being less out here, a man don't have to make fucking $100,000 a year to get the most beautiful women out here. All he has to do is be making
Nigga, I don't give a fuck about none of that. It's fucking cold up there, man.
You from Chicago, it ain't that warm in Chicago.
It's cold.
Time out. The cost of living is not cheap in Minnesota.
You said what?
The cost of living in Minnesota is not cheap.
It's cheaper than DC and New York.
Yeah, but DC and New York, but we're still in the top 10 around the world.
Shit.
Yeah. You talk about the top 3. I mean, come on, man.
We got the high taxes. We got high housing
Bro,
here.
I'm not,
we got homeless rates going through the roof.
It's not cheap, but I'm just saying, like, when you done lived up, bro, I lived out in New York for a year. The fucking rent for an apartment that you get in New York versus, okay, my place right now is $1,300 a month. The same spot I got here will be fucking $2,000 in New York. That's a big.
You're comparing Minnesota to New York. Let's compare Minnesota to Arizona or Indiana.
All right, well, because that's a whole different type of topic. You know why I got Charles up here? Because shout out, I'm gonna see that Adam Sandler movie probably today, the damn Uncut Gems with Kevin Garnett, and that shit looks like it's the shit.
Kevin Garnett, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yo,
Adam Sandler got a new movie?
Yeah,
just Kevin Garnett.
Yes. I know that sounds
Kevin Garnett.
What?
It's got to do with basically Adam Sandler is playing kind of like a lowbrow, like Jewish dude. You know, the type of Jewish dude to be jewelers, fucking with black people and shit like that. It's gonna be a good movie. Just check out the trailer.
Hold on, Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, where did that come from?
I didn't even read.
Dude. It's got him. It's got the dude from Atlanta and Get Out. So
who is Kevin Garnett gonna play himself?
Yeah.
Okay. Man, Kevin Garnett can't even read and write, man.
But he's playing himself though. He don't need to read to play himself.
Check out the trailer and then let me know. But anyway, Charles, did you see Star Wars?
No.
You haven't seen it yet? Okay.
Ain't nobody watching that fucking Star Wars with you, Ed. If there's one person you should not listen to,
it's hard for me to like. I'm a very good anime and comic book fan. Star Wars is hit or miss for me.
Man,
I might
go
see it because it's like I might go see it, but it's like the last one when they try to make her this superficial bitch, you know, like I'm just like, oh my God.
Don't listen to Ed when it comes to movies. Ed has no credibility when it.
That's bull. No, you're just mad because the damn watch.
When it comes to movie recommendations, that
you just mad because
done.
You know,
done.
Shout out to BGS.
Do not listen to Edward when it comes to movies.
Oh, no, that's not true. And shout out to BGS who did the damn thing about the Watchmen. Because the way that shit end, you know, I ain't gonna do spoilers. I just got done watching The Witcher though too. That shit was right.
I'm just like I kind of don't like the feminist overtones of a lot of shit because I'm like I've read great material of female comic book characters and there was no feminism. A kick-ass character is a kick-ass character is a kick-ass character. So when you see this bullshit, and I mean it's some bullshit, persist. Like
shout out to Gal Gadot.
You know, Wonder Woman was a fantastic motherfucking movie. You were cheering her on. See, this is the difference between Wonder Woman, Captain Marvel, and Rey for the Star Wars movie. Did Wonder Woman make mistakes? She did. Did she have to take the hero's journey? She did. Was everything easy for her to do? No, she had challenges. Did Captain Marvel or Rey have it easy? Yes. Did they have any real difficulties? No. It was like the entire goddamn universe open wide with all its resources and said, here, bitch, you're going to be the one. And
they ruined Star Wars, man. Them feminists ruined Star Wars, bro.
Well,
Charles, the biggest difference between Wonder Woman and those other two movies is it's very obvious that Gal Gadot likes men.
Yeah.
That's the biggest difference. You know, you can tell she actually don't hate.
Well,
Men.
also, well, that too, and that's but what you gotta understand is a lot of this shit is reflective of these studios. Now, Brie Larson just is antisocial when it comes to shit like that. But what I will say is, you gotta remember, DC put out the Joker movie. You know, DC clearly realizes that where their money is, and they're starting to kind of aim that way. You know, also I'm looking forward to seeing this damn Tenet movie with Denzel Washington's son, with Christopher Nolan. So, you know, I just wanted to put that shit out there.
What Christopher Nolan got coming out?
Okay, you need to see this trailer. It's just like Inception, basically. But it's a movie called Tenet. And just look at the trailer. Denzel Washington's son stars in it. He's the main star, and then they got dude from Twilight.
The director?
Yes.
Now that dude's pretty good, Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, he tried to take some Oscars and actually making fucking movies now. And he got Denzel Washington's son, John Washington.
Is he a superhero or some shit?
No, it's kind of like Inception.
Oh, word. Okay, I'll have to look in that because I see Nolan is someone I can trust as a director. He does good work, so I could trust someone like him for the most part. I like him and Zack Snyder a lot.
Zack Snyder, I appreciate it.
Zack Snyder is actually doing a remake of The Fountainhead. I don't know if you guys are into like Ayn Rand, but he's actually making that into a replay of the movie from the 30s or 40s called The Fountainhead. Zack Snyder, he's actually remaking that shit, and he's doing that. So I'm looking forward to that movie that he has coming out. The Fountainhead remake.
Zack Snyder is very underappreciated.
Yeah, he's good.
Even when his Batman v Superman, when they butchered that fucking movie, that's why the movie didn't make sense, because, and just like Justice League, he had a different take to it. When you hear about some of the stuff that the studios did, you're like, wait a minute, this actually makes sense. It was very intriguing. Why does Batman kill people? Obviously, motherfuckers who never read The Dark Knight Returns never noticed that's where the suit and the big ass bat came from, and the armored Batman was inspired by was The Dark Knight Returns. Well, basically, a good part of the book was he was a darker, older Batman. Remember, he's been Batman for 20 years. He's like a cop on the job, or a firefighter on the job, or a military person at the job. He's gritty as fuck. He ain't there to, to play princess with you. So he's a meaner, older Batman, and he's mourning the death of one of his fucking peoples.
The reason I didn't like that Batman movie versus Superman, the shit is just unrealistic to me. That's the one part I didn't like that they did that, because Superman is a god, you know what I'm saying, on Earth, because of how his natural self, being, gravity, and how his powers and shit comes from being from another planet. The reason I didn't like that Batman versus Superman, it didn't make no sense to me. But maybe
it made plenty of sense. One, because Batman is not fighting them on equal terms. Batman cheats. Two,
and also yes,
and yes, if Superman even said in the movie, "If I wanted you dead, you would be." See, people, as my boy Josh would say, people listen to reply and not comprehend. When you hear it from Superman, Superman's intentions was not to kill Batman. He was trying to talk to Batman about what was going on. So when Batman's intent is trying to kill him, he's not trying to kill, he's trying to knock some sense into his ass, which was occurring, but Batman's intention was to kill him.
Yeah, that's why I don't know. I wasn't feeling that whole.
No, I get it, because you gotta remember, like, if he, his mom would have died, but yeah, y'all need to check out The Witcher with Henry. Speaking of Henry Cavill,
so you like The Witcher? You like The Witcher, Edward?
No, man,
I'm gonna watch that on my days off, because I hate it when I gotta go. Hell, I might watch it today, and I'm not off on Christmas, but I'm gonna watch it. I might start watching it tonight and be like, because I like Henry Cavill as an actor. I like him as an actor. You know?
And a lot of Henry Cavill, he shines in this. I mean, it ain't look. I didn't watch Game of Thrones. I don't know nothing about that shit, but I know I was entertained for what the fuck I saw. So
I'm gonna tell you, shout out to Henry Cavill because somebody tried to call the fans toxic, and they were basically, when they say toxic, they're trying to talk about toxic masculinity and toxic fans, and he says no, that's not toxic. It's passion. He said, basically paraphrasing, when people want their favorite characters on the big screen, they're not getting exactly from the book, but they're getting the interpretation. So you want to do the best interpretation of that character that you portray, and he shut that whole shit down. So shout out to Henry Cavill for standing up against this bullshit, toxic, bullshit. Or this rhetoric. So when you get actors and actresses who stand against the status quo, we as the audience need to stand up with them.
that's true, and I'm glad, and I'm actually very, because one of the things with the damn Witcher, look, people can like it or not like it. Obviously, so I understand why you have your opinion with the Watchmen.
No, I haven't seen The Witcher yet.
No, I'm talking about with the Watchmen. So I get that, but my point is the critics. There was critics that didn't even watch the fucking shit and put up like reviews throwing it under the fucking bus.
Now they were talking about The Witcher, or are you talking about The Watchmen?
The Witcher. They just clearly they threw it under the bus, and it turned out they watched one episode, and not even the first one. They just watched 30 minutes of some bullshit, and they just made an opinion. And this is why the audience score is much better than the critic score. It's a very big gap. Because people were pretty entertained. The only thing people talking shit about is the nudity. But even in the nudity, that woman, it's not Game of Thrones nudity. It's not Game of Thrones nudity. That's all I gotta say. It's not you got a bitch in a chain or some shit like that. No, it's not like that. It's more that kind of empower. It's on their terms. I'll say that.
Well, the good thing is that the Joker set a new standard, because one of the things that's good about the Joker is that it's forcing Hollywood to go back to a more, masculine kind of movies, because they realize that they done lost so much money pushing that feminist propaganda stuff that it ain't even worth it no more. Because
Venom did that too. Venom did too, for the very reason. And let the white boys how they win.
Well, you gotta think about it. And nobody ever picked up in Justice League. Once again, shout out to Henry Cavill. When Wonder Woman headbutt him and he flew up and sent her to the ground, he did a blow for masculinity right there. I don't care what nobody says.
Well,
I didn't come on, man.
Well, see, the thing with Hollywood, man, they had 4 fucking flops in a row this year with the Dark Fate, Terminator, Charlie's Angels, Dark Phoenix, and now this Star Wars. And with the success of Joker being the most successful movie this year, they realized okay, I know that they wanted to push that agenda for this election year, but they've lost so much fucking money, man.
No, they've been doing it before then, and I will say, no, you're right, but I'll say this too: Joker was made for $70 million. Joaquin Phoenix. This will tell you all the bullshit you know about Hollywood. So Joaquin Phoenix only made $4 to $5 million for that movie. Now, obviously, it was a low budget. They projected it low. Joaquin Phoenix ain't bitching on the scene talking about I need to get more money. He knew what he did, and it was what it was. I'm sure what DC will do is not DC, but Warner Brothers, is they'll probably throw him some Oscar bait movies, some movies that he wants to make as kind of a reward. They're not gonna completely just leave him out there
they're doing a sequel. They're doing a sequel to the Joker, so he's gonna get his money.
Okay, that's true too, but they'll also probably do that. They didn't take care of his own.
Now,
but if you look at
in the sequel,
but if you look at the Black Widow movie that's coming out, what nobody will say about Scarlett Johansson, because everybody's bitching about the fact she wasn't in the movie, is outside of Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson was probably paid the second or third most money per appearance. She was paid $10 million per appearance outside of Iron Man 2. So every time
I kind of miss her in her prime, she was on point in her prime. One thing I can say about Scarlett Johansson, because she don't do that feminist shit to the extent that some of these chicks like Brie Larson. So when you look at that one movie she did,
nobody likes Brie Larson. the actors and actresses didn't like Brie Larson.
Yeah, I don't like that broad.
When you saw
What's
the
the-
interviews, they didn't bang with her too hard.
That
What's
Ghost
the
in the Shell, that Ghost in the Shell movie, and then the other one that Scarlett Johansson did, where she was with Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, the Brain movie. Yeah, that movie made like 400
Yeah,
million. on a
those
quarter.
were good. Like I like Scarlett Johansson, man. And when
Yo,
she
watch The Island.
I think KD said it. Now he was on some simp shit, but
He was all right in the island. He was all right in the island.
that
Watch
boy
that damn Island.
Kevin Durant, he said, I would drink Scarlett Johansson's bath water in this motherfucker. That was
Yo, fucking, hey, you want to see Scarlett Johansson before she look good? Go watch Home Alone 4.
Home Alone 4.
Yeah, that's before her face grew into her nose, man. Home
Oh,
Alone
for
4.
real?
That's Scarlett Johansson.
Damn, I don't know nothing about that. I just know her from
Yes.
the first time I ever saw her was in that movie called the one with the clones and shit. You know, the
The
Island.
Island.
Yeah. That was
Had
the
an African
first time
dude
I
in
ever
there
saw her.
too.
Who's that?
Had an African dude in there too. That's in everything. You know,
Oh
Blood
yeah,
Diamond.
old boy is up in there. He in every fucking thing, like you said. But
Right.
yeah, Scarlett Johansson, man, when she was like about 25, man, she was a lot of the Minnesota kids.
You know who should have made Captain Marvel? They should have made Captain Marvel. Who was the woman that played in Edge of Tomorrow? She played in A Quiet Place. You know who I'm talking about? She played Mary Poppins.
What they should have done was make fucking Captain Marvel go away. She's a shitty character in the comics. She's a B-level character, C-level character at best.
They trying to make her the head of Avengers.
They try to make her the most powerful Avenger, which in comics she's not even close.
Well,
She's
again,
not compared to the Hulk nor Thor. Like,
Well,
why
I
the
would
fuck
set
would I
that
need you if we
dead.
got a Hulk and a Thor? Bitch.
I hope that
Yeah.
it's dead. I hope that like after those UK elections and after the success of the more masculine movies this year, I hope that Hollywood drops the feminist shit, man. I hope that they do.
See,
hope they do, man.
this is the point that I'm gonna bring out. You gotta excuse me for a minute because I'm about to speak some truth, and you know, if anybody donate to his chat, I'm gonna keep preaching. But I'm gonna say this, right? Number one, men never had a problem with fucking female leads in action movies because last time I checked, we all fucking cheered for Sarah Connor in Terminator 2.
Yep, that was good.
We all cheered for Wrigley with fucking Aliens. Okay,
Aliens. Yep, Aliens was the best one.
We cheered for fucking, I forgot what her name was in the fucking Underworld.
You talking about Kate Beckinsale?
Yeah, we cheered for her. We cheered for a lot of great strong female roles. You know why? Because they were
Beckinsale looked nice in that black leather.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, she actually did. And then you got to remember, we've always like praised women in the kick-ass roles, but when you go out of the expense to say, well, they're better than the men, that's fucked up because you're alienating us. We never alienated. Go ahead,
Charles. Here's what's fucked up about that. When you look at like even like Star Wars, the Rise of Skywalker, when you actually break down like how many the percentage, like the pie of people that are actually seeing this movie, like the percentages, it's still like 50-60% men. So you're catering to the females, and yet the dudes are still going. All the shit the dudes did about the Rise of Skywalker, and it was still like bring him back in. It was still like 60 to like 65%. Like I think it was like 65% men that went and go see it. So these are these dudes' property. It's not their property, but they're still supporting these properties. So you're not even getting the kickback of the females when you're putting all this effort into them.
Exactly, because what you're doing is you're alienating your core audience. That's what you're doing. You're alienating the fuck out of them. So when you get people who are hardcore Star Wars fans, sometimes you got to be like, you know what? We're going to give these motherfuckers a little Star Wars porn because we need the money. So,
yeah, that's what that Vader, the last thing was.
Yeah. So, the Baby Yoda shit is a Star Wars porn. You know why? Because Yoda is epic. Everybody loves Yoda. You know what made fucking The last, not these movies now, but the ones back in the early 2000s, epic, because it was the first fucking time we seen Yoda fight. Was how many people got out their fucking seat when Yoda was kicking some ass?
Yeah, I remember that.
So guess what? You have to give a little fan service. So when you go in there and you take one of the most beloved literary characters of all time and make him a coward, Luke Skywalker, who did the most epic hero's journey in the last 40, 50 years, had to not only confront the fact that his father was a genocidal maniac and learn that that guy was actually his father. He had to get the strength within himself and defeat not only his father, but darkness itself. You got most men who can't even get out the fucking bed because they're scared to go outside because of rejection. And this is the reason why you got to remember a lot of young boys learn how to be brave because of their fictional heroes. And we forget that. A lot of those young boys learn how to be brave because they said, well, if Spider-Man was facing this problem, I could face this problem too. As corny as it may sound to people sometimes, but guess what? Fight me because you know it's true.
Why do I get up? Because Goku did, man. Goku did.
It actually, some people said that because you forget a lot of times we learn.
When I started reading comic books in the early 70s, and I started reading Marvel comic books, and like, I came upon Thor. And the thing that always attracted me to Thor was Mjolnir, and the inscription on Mjolnir. Who's ever worthy to hold his hammer would be, could possess the power of Thor. And I would spend, as a young guy, I would spend a lot of time thinking about what must it be like, or what type of man would I have to be in order to be able to lift Mjolnir as a boy, or as a young guy.
And you gotta think about it. If you can lift Mjolnir,
and I would spend all my money. And I didn't have a lot of money, but I would spend all my money on Marvel comic books. I would spend all my money on the Avenger comic books. I would spend all my money on Thor comic books. I would spend all my money on Spider-Man, just everything. I wouldn't even eat lunch. I would spend my lunch money on comic books. And what the women don't know, or they don't know that. They don't know the level of psychological investment boys who become men have made or have invested in Captain America, right? Or Superman, or whoever your favorite character is. And when you first started reading the books in this, and the story of Beta Ray Bill, they don't know, they weren't there back in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s when those stories were so real to you. And so then you see them, they make these movies and they just kind of frivolously prop up these females.
Pretty much shit upon your childhood.
Right. It's like they're basically kind of shitting on, the last 30 or 40 or whatever, 50 years even, when you start. It's, when you look at, in Star Wars, I remember I saw Star Wars when it was first released. I saw Star Wars that Friday when it was first released. And it has such an impact on my mind at the time that I cannot hear the introductory music, that 20th Century Fox music that they play at every 20th Century Fox movie that's distributed by 20th Century Fox, and we've all heard it. I cannot hear that music without thinking that I'm getting ready to watch Star Wars. And there's always a little part of me that's disappointed when it's not Star Wars. You know, because I'm always that what 16, 17 or whatever year old dude when I was first seeing Star Wars, A New Hope. And what's missing, what these women come in, they take something that boys and men have invested so much of their psychological energy, into in their dreams and hopes and fantasies, and they just come in and just preempt that shit with this feminist stuff.
And to be fair,
like all the last 40 or 50 years never meant anything.
And to be fair, women. Here's the thing: women didn't really take nothing. It was, as far as a lot of this shit is motherfuckers. They see women are more in these damn. They're making more money, so they're trying to get some easy money. What I will say is, even from a business perspective, even if I look at it from a business perspective, the biggest value of Star Wars is really its licensing. That's really the main thing they bought from George Lucas, because that's the one thing they didn't have, the toys and all of that. So all you need to know about Kathleen Kennedy and some of these people is you had this thing called Baby Yoda, and you didn't even prepare for the fact that could become the next Tickle Me Elmo. They pretty much could have sold 2.5 million of those things for $30 and pretty much paid for like the season, the $80 million season of The Mandalorian that they had, which would have been free. Basically all that would have been pure profit as far as the subscriptions. But what they decided, so it's such bad business. And here's the thing, even on every metric, when you look at, okay, are women more engaged now than what they were? They're not, because guess what? The same reason why women like football is the same reason why they like this comic book shit now. It's because this is the cool thing based on the investment a lot of dudes put in. And this piggybacks on what you said, Black Uhuru, that psychological investment. And see, that's what they're not understanding. And I'm not even talking about the women, I'm talking about these executives. And it's funny because it's like, if I was where they get their money from, these like investors, I would really be looking at that. I'm like, yo, we're not gonna keep funding this bullshit. But a lot of them are still in the same club. So I'll let y'all get kind of y'all general last words. And then we're gonna hang it up.
I'll say this real quick about that. See, the problem is this. Men nowadays gave up on what's hollow, what's solemn, which is the barbershops, the basements, the porch, the backyard, all our male spaces. We bought into this gender equality bullshit, and there's no such thing as equality. If you tell your kids we're all equal, you're fucking lying to them, and I don't give a fuck. Fight me. Stop predicating and trying to please other people. This is my thing, right? And it's the same thing about when it goes to women. Don't go to where you're not wanted. You find yourself in a space where it's overtaken, you dismiss them, and you make a person pay with your absence. Go get your body right, get your mind right, get your money right, get your soul right. Everything will be all right. Guess what? The byproduct of you being a greater man is not dictated on women. It's dictated on you. Women will come and go, but the type of man you are is going to be here to stay. Woo, and I'm out.
And I'll say, the mind right. Not enough time and energy and exposition is done on what it means for a black man, a modern black man, to get his mind right, particularly in light of all of the opposing forces, both within and without, that he must confront. And so I hope that all of us individually and maybe collectively would spend more time and effort on trying to secure that aspect of ourselves. What does it really mean for us to get our minds right? And that's all I have to say about that.
All right, well, much appreciated to both of y'all, as well as everybody that came on the panel, as well as everybody that got on Sigma. I'll say this, as far as the discussion that we were having, as far as like when it comes to like what black men are going to do and black men are going to exercise their options and all that, here's the thing. What I would say to sisters is really this. If you do these three things, for the most part, you'll be fine. Number one, treat people the way you want to be treated. That's number one. Number two, operate within common sense. That's number two. And quite frankly, you deserve everything that you earn and everything that you get, but stay off of this like hyper sexual, hyper consumeristic like approach when it comes to like life in general. Like the problem is you have people and you have dudes like this too. So it is what it is because we're all in the same culture. But you have women that they're looking at things like from a hyper standpoint, a like I need the, you can never cash out because you're not really, you don't know. It's kind of like when people say when Jesus Christ, if he would have came, if Martin Luther King would still be alive, or if Jesus Christ would have came back, like would humans even know, like how would they treat him? Because they wouldn't know how to treat it because it's a commentary in the culture. It's the same thing when it comes to, you know, women have this mentality, and not all of them, but and the ones that have it, they know who they are, where it's like nothing's never good enough because, right, frankly, they don't know themselves enough to know really what they really want. It's like a compass that always spins all the fucking time. And this is why it's always seen like ain't enough good men or ain't enough this, ain't enough that, because quite frankly, nothing's ever good enough. And it just is what it is. That's for their outcomes. As far as dudes, it's the same thing, Charles, what you said when it comes. I understood what you were trying to say. I get what they're saying. But when it comes to self-improvement, you are accountable to the options that you have. You know, there are black women in there. I'm not saying all 100% of black women are dateable. Ado's black women. I'm not saying that because I date them all the time. And I'm short. I'm a short light-skinned nigga. Short buttermilk nigga, as people would say. So it is what it is. But the point is, I mean, regardless of what type of women you're dealing with, I mean, they're going to measure you against the men that they have access to. And so if they're in the same country, then they have access to the same men. So you're going to get measured against that. So, but I don't think any of the dudes are really against the self-improvement thing. It's just a lot of people pull that shit as a mechanism to kind of dodge other things. Like they try to say, you got to be a superhero nigga. And my thing is, if you want a 8, 9, or 10, then yeah, you're gonna have to put in the work to get that. None of that's not free, but it is what it is. So anyway, with that being said, I'm about to hang this up. So this is Edward signing off. Peace.